Yes.
Let's see if I can get it to go. It doesn't want to go. Okay, I'll just move along. All right, so this isn't, we've never done just a totally virtual training before. This is a first for us, but we didn't want to cancel the class this year because we had people that were interested. So we decided we would go ahead and do a virtual training. So I'm Kevin Gibbs. I'm one of the people that a lot of you have been communicating back and forth with. I am the county extension horticulturist.
I sent you another invite. Did you get it?
Vince, we're hearing everything that you're saying. So, and so I work for Texas A&M AgriLife, which is the extension service. It's gone through a lot of different names over the years, from extension service to county extension service to everything, and now it's just Texas A&M AgriLife.
If you don't get it, just give me a call.
And so we're at the point now where we have about 75, 80 volunteers that are master gardeners in Nueces County. The program was actually started in Washington State by a county extension agent there who was looking for a way to get gardeners involved in his programs. And so that's where we come from. The mission of our association is to promote volunteer efforts. And so we recruit lots of volunteer efforts. I'm not the only agent that has volunteers. If you're familiar with the 4-H program, that is a volunteer group also that works with the 4-H agent. And then our health agent also has health ambassadors that work in the community as well. So the objectives, we operate as a nonprofit organization. Nueces Master Gardeners is a 501c3, and their sole purpose is to help be an extension of the horticulture agent, Nueces County, and to help provide education out in the county. And we do lots of education. When things are normal and we're not being constricted by coronavirus, by COVID-19, we're in schools, we're at food banks, we're all over the place. We're at the botanical gardens. The Moonlight in the Gardens and the Big Bloom wouldn't happen without Nueces Master Gardeners is the way I look at it. So we're one of the groups that makes that happen. And then we do lots of other things throughout the county as well. One of the things that we do is we strive to make sure that we can support ourselves and that we can administrate ourselves. Part of the people on here today, the Master Gardeners on here, are officers currently, and they make the organization run. They ask me questions from time to time, but basically they do all the legwork and do everything to make everything happen and function. So without them, I'd be a duck in the water trying to get everything done, and thanks to them, it all comes together. We do support individual members' continuing education and personal growth as well each year. We try to make that possible to them. Under normal conditions, there are all kinds of extended trainings that you can go to. So if you want to become proficient in a particular area, such as pruning, or in school gardening, or in entomology, there's all kinds of specialized trainings that you can attend. And we usually reimburse people for travel expenses when they have been in the organization and request to go do that. So that's one of the things that we do. In addition to the fact that we put out tons of webinars and links for programming that's occurred this year. It almost feels like we've worked harder under COVID-19 than what we normally do under regular circumstances. So it's important that you make sure that you sign in to the volunteer management system every week and show that you attend. So whenever you have hours, we have to report them into the system monthly, and we just ask people to do that. And one of the things that we'll do for you is get you put into the system and make sure that you're able to sign in. We've got a master gardener whose job is to work with the new interns and make sure that they understand how to use the volunteer management system. So that's one of the things that we'll be running over and doing with you in the coming weeks. So the horticulture program, a little bit about the funding. A lot of people think that Extension has money, and we actually don't have much money. We receive a little bit of funding from A&M to make things happen, and we receive a little bit of funding from the county. But pretty much, if we're going to have excess funds, they're going to come from programming, where we have offered programming and have collected a little bit of funds. So the money that we do have comes through the Extension Program Council, which basically is a governing board which regulates all of Nueces County Extension. And then I also have what's called a Horticulture Advisory Board, which is a group of horticulture professionals that are in the county. And their sole job is to help me make decisions about what is best for the county and what programming works well for the county. And we have quarterly meetings, and there are about 10 to 12 really good individuals that come from places like local nurseries and from the highway department and from schools and from the Bays and Estuaries programs, all those sorts of things. One of the things that you guys can do, if you have your mics on right now, if you'll mute them so that other people don't hear what's going on in the background, that would be very helpful, because I'm still getting a little bit of feedback. We want you to speak and ask questions as you need to today, but while you're waiting, if you'll mute your microphone so that we don't get the background noise. Some of the funding that we receive is received when we offer seminars and trainings and things such as conferences. I do a landscape conference every year, and I come out usually a little bit ahead, not much, but a little bit. And occasionally we write grants and we get some grant money. So again, the Master Gardener Program is a 501c3. It is made up of intern classes, conference, seminars. We have a terrific plant sale, and the chairman of the plant sale is on here today. I'm going to let her talk a little bit about it. We haven't been doing it for many years. This is, I think, our third year to do the plant sale, and we grow a lot of the things that we sell, but we have a terrific time with the plant sale. It's usually in the fall, in October. Occasionally we'll have a plant auction. There are yearly dues for Master Gardeners, but it's not a whole lot. And then Learning to Grow School Program is one of our biggest things. We have school programs in about 150 locations in Nueces County, so that keeps us pretty busy. And Gloria Van Zant is on today, and she is one of the key leaders of the school program, so I'll let her tell a little bit about that as well. So, and then like I said, we apply for grants occasionally. While we're on this slide, Madeline, can you hear me? Madeline?
Yes, I can hear you.
Why don't you tell them a little bit about the plant sale while we're at this point?
Okay, well, we usually have the plant sale in middle of October. There's probably 30 people that will propagate plants. We usually have about 1,000 plants. We advertise in the, well, we're going to do the coastal living this year, I think, as well as all the newspapers, and we get it out there on the radio. This will be our third one. We're doing workshops to make things to sell for yard art, and that sort of gets us together to get to know each other better, and it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun even during the plant sale, because the people that come in, they're all interested. And as Master Gardeners, we try to encourage them to buy things that would work in their yard. You know, what works on the island might not work in the mainland, just because the island has so much sand. And when we don't know, we ask Kevin, you know. And
sometimes I don't know.
Well, then we can Google it too. We do a lot of Googling when you're trying to talk to people, but we sell the most plants by talking to people. Just, you know, we go to the Home and Garden Show and we talk to people there. And so, but the plant sale is our biggest moneymaker for the organization, probably the only moneymaker for the organization. So we all
It's
would
the
like you
biggest
to
one,
help.
yes.
Yes. So, but really, I mean, I don't know what else to say. You
That's
have to
plenty
try.
good.
Okay.
Plenty good. And it's one of those things. Nueces Master Gardeners is one of those things. If you love being an educator, if you love to talk, there's a great place for you. If you're one of those people that's more private and you love to work in the garden, but you don't really want to be out in front of the public, there's a place for you too. So we try to make it friendly for everybody and make it where you have a fantastic time. And everybody that comes into the program says probably their favorite thing about being a master gardener is the people that they get to meet and that they get to enjoy the company of. There's a lot of camaraderie that exists, and that's one of the things that we're going to have to really work on building for this class. Is there's something about sitting in a classroom together week after week that you probably won't get sitting and doing virtual trainings. But I think as soon as we're able to meet, that'll get much better. So, and we'll get you in there and get you where you can do that. So, we actually have a board meeting and a regular meeting tomorrow, and if you all would like, I can send that invitation out to you where you can audit those two meetings tomorrow if you would like. I'll try to get that done as soon as this orientation is over. So moving on, one of the things that I am very accountable for is reporting all of our efforts every month. We report not only to Texas A&M, which to the Texas reporting system, but we also report to our county commissioners. So including Judge Canales and all of the commissioners that are on the commissioners board. And we go in and do interpretations for them from time to time as well. So most people don't know it, but a county extension agent is primarily employed by Texas A&M or employed by the land grant university in their state. In our state, it happens to be Texas A&M. But that's not where all of the funding comes from. About 2/3 of my paycheck comes from Texas A&M, and about 1/3 of it comes from Nueces County. So it's real weird. I get like 3 paychecks a month, and it's strange. I don't know if you've ever had paychecks not come in all at the same time and have to try to pay the bills and figure out when things can get paid, but that's the way it is. This actually has changed. That is the logo used to be the logo for Texas Master Gardeners. I need to get that updated for you. So requirements. You're asking what's required of us to become a Master Gardener? Well, it's required that you attend the training sessions. And I've had people ask, well, what if I can't make a particular training session? Well, the good news is with this being done through Zoom, it's going to be recorded. So every one of the training sessions will be recorded, and all you have to do is just shoot me an email and let me know, hey, I can't make it this week or whatever. And I will be putting all of these sessions onto YouTube, and you'll just have to go back in and catch up by watching it off of YouTube. Sound easy enough? And then after we're at the end of the training, you're required in the very first year to serve 50 hours of volunteer service. If you put that in a year's time and think about it, that's about 2 to 3 hours a week. So it's not a tremendous amount. So that's actually pretty easy to do. And then you're required to get a volunteer background. And the biggest reason for the volunteer background is because we go into schools and we work with kids a lot of time, and that's better that way. Does anybody have any questions at this point? So y'all are all good?
Yep.
All right, let's move on then. So this year's classes are virtual classes, and they begin actually on August the 3rd. So that's not too far away, and they're going to run through November the 9th. The schedule is pretty much straightforward. It's Mondays and Wednesdays. Monday is a lecture. Wednesday is a lab. The lab is going to be the most challenging for us because we've got to figure out a way to get that content and put it all together in something that makes sense. But I'm working with a group of master gardeners, and I think we can do it for you. So I'm pretty confident that we'll get that figured out. The lecture is pretty easy. If you've looked at the schedule at all, we have some really good people that are coming in to do the trainings for you. We have people all the way from across the state. We usually pull in specialists, and we pull in some of the professors and stuff. You've got people like Juan Enciso, who is a vegetable specialist from the Valley. You've got Dr. Larry Stein, who is one of the best ornamental people and also one of the best fruit people that you're going to find. Dr. Becky Grubbs is both an expert on turfgrass, but she's also water-wise gardening expert. We've got Michael Potter, who is the extension agent out of Conroe. And I could go on, but I really work hard to try to line up really good quality people to come in and do the training so that you get excellent lectures. And then when we have the labs, it's some of our master gardeners who do a terrific job coming in and scheduling the labs and then working out all of the content for the labs. And I've been really impressed over the last few years. I've just pretty much called people and that I thought were very qualified, that I thought could do a really good job, and they have not failed to impress. They've done an excellent job conducting labs. So I think I'm kind of sad that we don't get to actually do the labs in person, because there's something about actual hands-on training that is really remarkable. But I think one of the things that I'll offer to all of you after we get done with this year's class is that you can come in and audit any classes that you want to next year, hopefully when COVID-19 is gone and we're back to normal, so that you get some of those hands-on experiences. And I hope that sounds good to people. So we'll pretty much be tied up 5:30 to 7:30. Our first class is me and some of the chairs from some of the different committees and some of the different projects, and we'll talk to you about what actually happens in the Master Gardener program, what the different experiences are out there for you, what the different volunteer opportunities are for you, and walk you through a lot of that. After that, we get started with botany, and Dr. Womack from the South Texas Botanical Gardens and Nature Center actually will take 2 entire classes to do nothing but talk to you about how plants function. And he tells me every year, this is not enough time, I need more time. And I tell him that's all I've got to offer you for right now. So, and he goes pretty fast. One of the things I want to tell you, as we're going through trainings, sometimes it can be a little overwhelming, but we try to always give you the notes, and we always try to give you copies when the presenters come and they say, here's my notes and stuff. So don't get too crazy if it gets a little overwhelming and you feel like there's more coming at you than what you can absorb. That's pretty normal. And you can ask some of the people that have been in classes before. There's a lot of stuff that comes all at once, but it's okay. Your main thing is just to sit back and relax and have a good time, and the rest of it will work out just fine. Master Gardeners, would you agree with that?
Yes, Kevin, and I'd like to add that the nice thing this time around is that the sessions are all going to be recorded. So you can always go back. If something wasn't clear, you can go back and listen to it. And if it's still not clear, that's the time to ask.
I agree. Thanks, Gloria. While you're on there, Gloria, talk to them about the Learning to Grow program.
Okay. Learning to Grow is a school-based program that provides children in our area to have gardens. Typically, it is geared to 3rd graders, and that's because they have a curriculum that they use for the 3rd grade students. This year, I don't think we're going to have any Learning to Grow because of COVID-19, but we'll see what happens next year. The gardens are supported by the physical education department through CCISD, but CCISD is not our only school program. There are garden beds also in Flower Bluff. We've had some at Toloso Midway in previous years, but when a leader leaves, oftentimes the program seems to fall apart if a suitable substitute or a suitable leader isn't found. And that's kind of been the case with Toloso Midway. Calallen has a few beds as well. And then we also have beds that are in some of the private schools. Incarnate Word comes to mind. Some of the Montessori schools also have programs. So within the Learning to Grow program, there's a lot of opportunity to provide some volunteer hours for the new students or the new master gardeners coming in. Will you have to dig the garden beds? No. But what we do is we build the garden beds for them. That's the actual structure. Some of the teachers, in most cases, I think almost all the teachers, will let the kids do the bed filling because these are all raised beds. And so through the program, we provide them with starter plants. We provide them with the soil. All we ask is that they find a suitable place on the school grounds where they have access to water and where there's good sun for the plants to grow. Then we basically serve as consultants for them, if you will. I still get a little trepidation when I'm asked a question, but I try to prepare myself for what they're growing so that if a question comes up, I'm ready to answer it. So there's opportunities working with the schools. Some of the schools have also turned their school bed programs into community gardens, and Woodlawn Elementary comes to mind. I believe they have, what is it, Kevin, 15 beds over there or
There's
more?
there's at least 15.
There's at least 15 beds at Woodlawn Elementary. So if any of you live close by, you might, drive by there and see if you can get a glimpse of some of those beds. I don't know what condition they'd be in right now. That leader there is very, very proactive. So if anybody were to work with him, I think you would learn a lot. Plus you would enjoy your time there as well. So I think the Learning to Grow program offers a lot for new master gardeners coming in. If you like to work with children, I think that's a good place to earn some hours. Anything else, Kevin?
No, I think you did a great job, and I'm glad you brought up the working, whether we're the ones that are digging or not. We get contacted every single year by organizations that have allowed their beds to grow out of control, and now they're full of weeds and all that. And I want to make it very clear, we're a volunteer group, but we're not a workforce. Our primary purpose is to educate. So I turn people down and I tell them, we'll come out and we'll provide the education and help train people, but we're not coming out and just pulling the weeds and getting everything back in order for you. That's not what we do. So I want to make sure that everybody understands that the only time that we actually do work is whenever we're setting up something. So like at these different schools, we'll go in and build the beds for them. And then like Gloria said, a lot of times the kids will come in and we'll put the soil and stuff in. Occasionally we put the soil because the teacher says, no, we don't want to put the soil. But that's about the only time that we're doing that kind of thing. Most of the time, if we're doing a demonstration and it requires doing some building and stuff to provide the demonstration, then we do that. But we'll never agree to go out and just pull weeds for people. We just don't do that. So, is Mary Sherwood on here? Did she make it on?
She'll join us tomorrow
Okay.
for our leadership meeting. She had some difficulty getting in.
All right. Well, you've been working at the food bank, right?
Me?
Yes, sir.
No, I went out there. Norman is the one that does the food bank on a regular basis.
Is one of our food bank people online?
I don't think so.
Okay. Well, then we'll talk about food bank at the next one. Okay. All right, so training sessions. Here are just some of the topics. If you've looked at the schedule, you'll see that we start off with botany. We have soils and fertility and composting, and we have a group that does a really terrific job with that. We think it's important that you learn about some of the more common weeds, so we have a group that does that. We have Dr. Cochran that comes down and does a plant pathology and diseases lecture, and she does a terrific job doing that. And then Beth Spurko comes in, our Master Gardener president right now, and does a lab that shows the different diseases and talks about the different diseases. Dr. Larry Stein does fruit crops. We hopefully will get somebody that can come in and do irrigation for us this year. And then I have an entomologist out of the Horton area that comes in and teaches you about entomology and integrated pest management. Unfortunately, you're stuck with me for woodies and herbaceous. And then I also have Ginger Easton Smith, who is an expert on palms and pruning and woody plants, and she comes in and teaches about that. We have propagation, so we think it's important that you know all the different types of propagation and that you at least try a little bit of them. Maybe you haven't done a whole lot of propagation before, but we at least are going to make it possible for you to know what the different types of propagation are. Sometimes we have habitat gardening. I don't know if we will have it this year. We have Dr. Juan Cecil that comes in and teaches you about vegetables and vegetable gardening. We probably will not do a landscape design computer class this year. And then we have a turf grass. One of the things that we get tons of question about in South Texas is turf grass, and that's primarily because we're under ideal conditions much of the year for turf grass problems. We have pretty ideal conditions in the fall and the spring for fungal infections of turf grass, so we get a lot of questions about turf grass. So as an intern, as a volunteer, you'll have to get 50 hours. It used to be that we specified how many hours you had to get out of each one of these different categories. Now we have changed it, and other than the continuing education, you can get your hours in any way that you see fit, as long as it fits under our umbrella. So if you pick one of our activities that is youth gardening, that's public education, that's organizational activities, which is usually helping me with an event, beautification or demonstration, or contacting people for Master Gardeners, then you can usually count those hours in any way that you want to. In other words, we're not going to be extremely specific about how you get your hours this year. And I've even made it a lot easier since we had COVID-19, because it's like, all right, people are going to be stuck at home. We have to find easier ways for them to get their hours to get certified. After you get certified, you are only required 30 hours every year to keep your certification. So it's much easier. And that's only a few hours a month. So,
Kevin, can I?
Yes, go ahead.
When do we start, or when can we start accruing our 50 hours? Or we have to wait till a certain time?
We will go over that
Okay.
when we start talking about how to use the VMS system,
Okay.
which will be in the very first training. We'll talk about how you accumulate your hours, when you can start putting them in there, and all of that. But it's fairly early in. We're wanting to give you plenty of time to make sure that you get what you need. So one of the things that I don't like is for somebody who really wants to get certified to struggle because they can't find enough activities or they can't find the time to get it done. So I've restructured it a little bit in the last few years to try to make it where people that want to get certified have no problem getting certified. Okay. There is a contract, and as a Master Gardener, part of your contract is to attend the classes. I've set up the classes where there is more than 60 hours of training available. And then to provide your 50 hours of volunteer management, to pay your course fee. and to submit your volunteer hours on a monthly basis. Any questions about that? And like I said, the fee is normally $225, but we don't have anybody traveling from anywhere, so we don't have to cover any travel expenses. So that was nice. It allowed me to reduce the fee so that all we had to do is cover the cost of books and materials. I see questions popping up in the chat. Can somebody, Vincent or Maddie or somebody, can you check to see if there's questions that are popping up? I can't actually get to them while I'm in this screen, so I'm actually just about done. One of the things.
Go ahead, Vince.
You have a question?
I was just
All right.
going to read what it said in the chat box.
Okay, read it.
Tara just said, can anyone see my chat window? And Kevin answered, I can, and that's it.
That's all?
That's all.
Okay, well, that's cool then. All right. So Texas A&M AgriLife Extension New Ace Master Gardeners, the things that we do, we provide quality training and associated materials. So you don't have to worry about printing out your own materials. We always are here to help provide that. And what we can't provide, Master Gardeners will cover. So the Master Gardener Association will cover. It's important to keep track of your cumulative volunteer hours. Are there any of my existing Master Gardeners that have fallen behind on putting your hours in?
No, I have no problem. I put them in either once a week, depending on how active, or at least by the end of the month.
We have people who fall behind. My suggestion is get yourself a little notebook or make yourself a little spreadsheet that you can carry around with you on a clipboard and write stuff down as you do it. A lot of people say, oh, I'll remember what I did, and then you get 2 months down the road and you can't remember what you did. So keeping a little bitty notebook and writing down what you did makes it so much easier to keep up with your hours.
I just keep it on my calendar. I write it on the calendar, whatever my hours are. So
that makes sense. That makes it real easy because it's on the right date and everything too. Then we provide support through regular meetings, activities, and newsletters. We have a monthly newsletter that goes out, and Kelly Denson does a terrific job putting that out for us. We do a pretty good job of making sure that everybody knows what activities are going on. And then our regular monthly meetings are generally the third Tuesday of every month. And so we're going to pick back up starting tomorrow and do that even if it's a Zoom meeting. We have not had a meeting since we've been out with COVID-19, but I think we decided we're tired of not having meetings, and even if it's a Zoom meeting, we're going to have it on the third Tuesday of each month. Master Gardener meetings generally start with the board meeting and then are followed up by the regular meetings. So you're welcome at both meetings, but a lot of times people find it's much more enjoyable to skip the board meeting and come whenever it's time for the regular meeting. So,
Kevin, can I talk to that a little bit?
You sure can.
All right. I'm Vince Musgrove. I'm the first vice president. We have been discussing changing when we meet. We normally, as Kevin said, would meet at the Garden Center over off of Greeley, which is between Airline and Galahar. But that's closed down, and conversations with Rex and Parks, they have no idea, none whatsoever, as to when they're going to open back up. And if you've been listening to the news or just having conversations, you know that the situation is getting worse, not better. So what we decided to do was go virtual. At our last board meeting, we finalized a survey that we sent out, actually it was the meeting before last, to all our members, because we've got a lot of, how many of you guys, raise your hand, work? have a job?
Me.
Okay, that's the majority of you. And if you take care of grandkids, you take care of parents, that's a job, okay? If you're a mom, stay-at-home dad, that's a job. That's a full-time job. So what we have heard from our membership is that having the meetings on a Tuesday in the morning doesn't accommodate people who have other things to do during the day, whether it's working, caring for loved ones, or whatever. And they ask that we consider some other times. So Madeline Church, who you see there on the screen, Maddie, wave your hand, drafted the survey, and we sent it out, and we'll have results today. Today was the deadline for getting all the results in. And based on that, we're going to change our meetings to whatever the members have asked. And that's keep it the way it is, move it to an evening hour, move it to a Saturday. And so we'll know after tomorrow's meeting how we're going to go forward with the meetings. Whatever we decide on, that's the way it'll be for the remainder of the year. And all the meetings will be online, because not only is the center not opening, the Botanical Gardens has shut down their classroom, which they had allowed us to use it, so we can't use it. Kevin's space is restricted. They just tightened the restrictions, and we don't have enough capacity to hold people there and spread them out. So we will be online for those meetings. When you attend the meetings, even if you're an intern, you get credit for that. So the meetings are 1.5 hours. The board meeting is a half hour. And you can get credit for attending those. So make sure and take credit on that. So that's kind of where we are on meetings. Do you want me to go on with some of the other things, Kevin, that you wanted me to talk about before?
You may. You can just give them, I want them to walk away today with a basic understanding of who we are and what we're doing in the county. So.
Right. If you came to be able to do things you want to do horticulturally, whether it's vegetables, flowers, lawn, trees, you come to the right place. The course that you're going to go through, you're going to get an education that would probably take you about 4 semesters in college to get what you're going to get. The people that present are experts in their area. Kevin goes all over the state. We used to bring those people in to do the meetings, and they would present in person. They're going to be presenting online, and you'll have handouts. They always provide lots of links and knowledge. And that information will go in the handbook that Kevin's going to provide to you. You will have tremendous amount of knowledge. I thought I knew a lot about horticulture before I took this class. I was sadly mistaken because the water catchment, how to prune a tree, and the other things is Corpus Christi. I've been here since May 1st of 1998, and I think I get around pretty good until Kevin started taking us around to all the different sites. We did a field trip, took the whole day, most of the day. It was a pretty long circuitous route, but we went from Cal Allen all the way out to the other end of Corpus Christi. We have sites all over this city that we're involved in. So There is something out there for every one of you, no matter where your interest is. And we're linked in with other organizations. They normally call themselves societies. There's a Rose Society, Plumeria, succulents, roses, you name it. And we can hook you up if that's where your interest lies. But you're going to get, we've got the director from the Botanical Gardens who gives 2 presentations, and it's a botany class. It's a whole semester of botany in 2 sessions. And as complicated as you think that is, the way he comes across is so easy to understand, but you gain a tremendous amount of knowledge. Don't worry about passing the test. Nobody has ever failed the test that Kevin gives.
Don't tell them that.
What I want to, I've been working on the VMS, which is the volunteer management system. And I want to stress for you to get on that system, log in, look at your profile, and keep it up to date. We are a very mobile society. We change phone numbers, we change emails, we change addresses. Things change, and you need to keep it up to date or we will lose touch with you, okay? And put your hours in. Like Kevin said, keep a running tab. If nothing else, use your cell phone, send a message to yourself and just keep adding all the things that you do, and you'll be surprised how quickly the hours add up. We have a website. Check it out. Just Google Nueces Master Gardeners, and it'll take you to our website. And I'm working on that along with Kelly Denson. We have a Facebook page, Myra, I think I'm pronouncing that right, M-A-I-R-E, but there's an accent over the I. Kelly does our Facebook, and we encourage you to go on there, make comments, and share that with your friends so that we spread the word that we're here and that we would welcome them to join us. We send out emails on a regular basis, and I've got the contacts pretty much straightened out. Kevin has been sending things out, broadcasting things for us. We're hoping to take that over pretty shortly. I want to mention that for officers and project emails, we have by position emails. So if you want to email the president or the first vice president, it's president.nuecesmg@gmail. 1v.nuecesmg@gmail. The treasurer, secretary, all of them are the same. So it's pretty straightforward. We'll provide that to you so that you get there. And we can always use your help. We have got lots of different things going on and not enough people to do all the things that we do. So if you want to get some of those hours, you let Kevin know. Kevin will get you in touch with one of us that needs help. And if you're good, like on a computer, you can do spreadsheets, you can do flyers, you can do things of that nature, and other items. We could sure use that help, that expertise. That's what I got on my list, Kevin.
All right, thank you, Vince. And I want to point out too that we've got some spots out in Port A. We've got one of our master gardeners that's from Bishop. This county goes all over the place. It goes almost all the way to Lake Corpus Christi on the north, goes to Port Aransas. We are all the way over to almost Portland, and then plumb down to almost the National Seashore. So we cover a lot of space, and so it doesn't matter where you live in the county. We can find stuff that you can do, or you can always be a trendsetter, a go-getter, and you can work on projects that you want to do within your own area and make suggestions as well. So with that said, I think now that I actually have figured out the PowerPoint and it's moving, is it changing now on the screen?
Yes, it is.
Okay, I think I was doing it wrong before. So, so one of the things that you'll need to do when you complete the course to maintain active status is to pay the local and state dues, which is due one time a year only. I believe it's $20. Is that correct?
Due in
Yes.
January.
Due in January. We usually do it. Most people choose to pay it whenever we have intern graduation. Interns are not due to pay it until the following year, though. So you don't have to pay the first year. You get to skip and pay the second year. And then contribute once you've certified. All you have to do is just get 30 hours of volunteer service annually to maintain your certification. And then you have to get 6 hours of continuing education, which this year has been super easy to get 6 hours of continuing education because everything has been online. And then attend monthly Master Gardener meetings. Do you have to attend every single Master Gardener meeting? No, you don't. But I think I'm getting the idea that even after we go back to in-person meetings, that they'll still be recorded and they'll be available online. So seems like coronavirus has made us learn how to do things in a more technological way. And I've done lots of webinars, I can tell you that. So, and then submit your hours and your contacts on a monthly basis and use your knowledge to educate those around you. What's important for us is to use sound research-based knowledge to educate the public. There are lots of crazy things out there on the internet. We want to make sure that people know that a lot of those crazy things do not have a research-based evidence to back them up, and that we're not going to send them on a wild goose chase. We're going to tell them things that are proven by science. So it's important for you to make sure that you represent yourself as a Master Gardener when the situation is appropriate. You can't go out and sign up for something that is not a Master Gardener related event and go out there and promote yourself as a Master Gardener. So if you're not sure about that, you can always ask me and I'll give you some idea whether it's appropriate or not. And then, like I said, we only provide research-based information. So just a little bit of information. I put this on here today to give you some idea of what impact Master Gardeners have on the community. The Nueces County is up to just about 350,000 people for the population. Master Gardeners this last year served more than 60 schools in Nueces County, and we had more than 150 beds. With that in mind, we had an impact and we reached over 10,000 youth in the county. We have about 6,500 volunteer hours for a total value of $150,000 to the county. So that's just Master Gardeners. We also have a group that's called Master Naturalists. Master Naturalists also contributed that. So between the two groups, we contribute about $300,000 worth of volunteer service to the county every year. So the county really appreciates that when we go in and we tell them how much that we've actually been able to accomplish. So, hi, doggy. All right, so here's some pictures just showing some of the different things that we do. These are the earth-kind beds out at the South Texas Botanical Gardens. These are some of our volunteers that are out there talking and showing a group of school children what some of the earth-kind principles are and how you grow vegetables and herbs using earth-kind principles. This is one of our early childhood centers. This is Cliff Moss, and we went out. They've got probably, I'm guessing, 10 or 11 beds there, and they do that. And we have a group of Master Gardeners that have been working with them, and they use the beds to not only grow vegetables that their kids can take home, but also when they're doing science lessons and stuff during the day, they take the kids out there and they talk about the plants. They have told us that the kids actually request, hey, when do we get to go out and go see the vegetables? So we think that's pretty cool that the kids actually want to do that. And here is another one of the school programs showing how you plant onions. It's amazing to think that that a lot of times kids don't know where their vegetables come from. You ask them, where do vegetables come from? And they say HEB, or they say Walmart. They don't really know much about growing vegetables. So it's really cool to get them involved and let them see the way that things actually grow. And then here's a group, I believe this is one of our Yeehaw events where we took the vegetables out there that they get to take their pictures in. And we go out and we do programming for them, talk about good bugs and bad bugs. We talk about environmental pollution, and we have quite a few puppet shows. If you've ever dreamed of being a puppet master, you can volunteer to be in some of our puppet shows. So that's cool. I end up in some of the puppet shows every year. So that gives you a good idea of what we do there. How many of you have already gone on the website and filled out the paperwork and all that? Do I need to show the website, or y'all good? All right.
I haven't filled it out, but I'm good. I have.
But you know where it's at, right?
Yes. Mhm.
That means I've done a good job of sharing it and making sure that you knew where everything was at. We worked really hard to make things more simple this year, so because we knew it was already going to be complicated with it being a virtual class. So we put everything right on one page where it's just go to that page and click and go. So I hope that that's been much easier for you. Do you have any questions about how to pay for the class? Is there anybody who is wanting to actually send a check?
Kevin, I have a question.
Okay.
I tried clicking on that link to pay online, and it wasn't working.
When did you try?
Today.
Let me take a look at that while I have you here and see if it's still acting up, because I actually have that open. Let's see. So this link right here would not work?
No, there was a link that you sent. I guess it was one of your with one of your emails.
All right. Well, this should work just fine. If you just go to the Master Gardener Intern Training page.
Okay.
And click the link at the bottom, it should take you right to the page where you can pay.
All right. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Anybody else need to see anything off of that page? And we put the full schedule here so you can click, and I think it is zoomable and shows you. That is an incorrect schedule, so I'll get that. This column should say online the whole way down, so I'll get that. Just ignore where it says, and I'll replace it with the correct schedule tomorrow, okay? Any other questions?
How do we get like the syllabus or that type of information?
I will order you. Well, what happens is that you have the schedule, which I just clicked on. That tells you what we're going to be talking about, what we're going to be doing. I really can't order the books until I know how many people are going to be in the class. So now that I know that we need to order about 20 books, I'll order those, and as soon as they come in, we'll give those to you. And that's your Master Gardener manual, and it's got all the topics that we'll be talking about. But what's nice about these speakers is that most of the time, these speakers are going to bring handouts and stuff for you as well. So it won't be like you're just completely without things. And then as soon as the books come in, I will pass those out to you as well. And you can always ask me for more information if there's a topic that you didn't get enough information on, okay?
So the handouts, will they be online or emailed to us before the speaker or at the time?
I will request for them to send them ahead of time, and as they get them to me, I'll try to make sure that I put them there. Does Google Docs or Dropbox work just fine for everybody?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Well, one of the problems that we have every year is that sometimes materials that they send are sometimes too big and they're difficult to email out. So usually I will use Dropbox. And I'll just put a copy in there and give you the password, and all you have to do is go in there and pull out what you want and print it out for yourself. Or you can keep it digitally, it doesn't matter. But we don't really have much choice but to put it in a virtual location this year, since we can't actually make copies and pass them out.
So is that an app, Dropbox?
It's an app, if you want to think of it that way. It's a location where you just have the stuff. The other place I can pass them out to you is off of Google Docs. I think I can put them on Google Docs. Are y'all familiar with it?
No.
Let me show you Google Docs right quick.
Kevin,
Yes.
While
could
you're
you
surfing
clarify
to
the
that,
final date for payment? There's a question in chat box about that.
Usually we
Dropbox,
like.
while you're surfing to that, Dropbox is a free service. If you keep it under 2 gigs, then you'll keep it under 2 gigs for this, I guarantee you.
Yeah.
You're able to put stuff in folders, and it doesn't cost you anything, and it's in the cloud. It's cloud-based.
Right. It is
We
cloud-based.
own a Dropbox subscription, so we can transfer things from our Dropbox to you. We can do that to Dropbox. If the files are big, the reason Kevin's talking about Google Docs and Dropbox, some of these files are too big to transfer as an attachment.
Yeah, they won't go
you
through
gotta
email.
Send them as a link.
Okay.
Kevin, one thing that we could do also, and we can talk about it offline later on, we can put them on the VMS in the docs section
Yes.
under the intern. We can create a folder, a group for the intern class, and put them all in there, and they could just go to the VMS. That would kind of get everybody going to the VMS. And they can download them straight from the VMS.
All right. Well, we can talk about that. So,
Okay.
so this is just an example of a Google Doc. It's an online, like he said, cloud-based, and I've got the intern schedule already there. And so that's one of the things. I have tons of other stuff already on Google Docs as we go through and do things. We had a question from Gloria, and that was when is the deadline to make the payment? I'm pretty flexible. We usually try to get the payments in by the 2nd or 3rd class. If you need a little bit more time, all you have to do is just holler at me. And as long as I know when to expect it, I'm actually pretty flexible.
I think
So
Maddie
it
had a
doesn't
question.
have to be tonight. You have a little bit of time. So
Kevin, I think Maddie was waving her hand.
okay, then let me stop sharing so I can see Maddie. Yes, Maddie.
All I was going to say was there was a question on the chat box, but
Okay.
Gloria got it. So thank you.
All right. Any other questions? So I hope that gives you a pretty good idea of what we do. This is all about teaching you how to garden and know about how things happen in South Texas. How many of you already know summer is not a gardening time in South Texas?
Yeah.
Not a time to garden. There's an air conditioner for a reason. You go get under it during the summer.
Yeah.
Kevin, I'm going to share a screen here real quick.
All right, let's try to wrap it up pretty quickly, Vince.
Okay.
It's getting late. So
If you're looking for something to do to get hours, here are the projects that we have. I'll scroll down. It's 5 pages long.
I'll actually give you time, Vince, in the very first week to go over all of those if you would like.
Okay.
But it does show how many different things we do.
Can you guys elaborate on the CEU?
On the CEUs,
Yes.
the CEUs are continuing education units. So let's say that you attended my landscape conference. Those would count as CEUs. You actually have the opportunity to get a half an hour credit when we have our regular monthly meeting, because we almost always bring in somebody to deliver some sort of continuing education for a half hour of the meeting. So there's CEUs there.
I have some CEUs that I normally get through the TDA. Would those count?
If you get with me ahead of time and we talk about them and they fall in line with what our purpose is, usually I'll allow you to count them.
I get them in pest and lawn and ornamental.
Then usually they'll count, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the key there is just talk to me. As long as I know what's going on, usually I can make things work for you. So
I need to check how many I actually get on each year. But here I have to do pest and I have to do lawn and ornamental. So, because I have
right.
a license.
All right. Any other questions?
Nope.
Okay. If you have questions after the meeting, just shoot me an email. I'll do my best to try to get them answered for you, okay?
Okay.
I'm looking forward to seeing how we can make this all work. So how many people actually managed to get on? 2, 4, 6, 8. We got 10 or 11 on, so most people. And then I did set up YouTube today, a YouTube channel, so I'll be able to, Vince, as soon as you get the video, as soon as you get the recording, if you'll share it, I'll get it loaded up to YouTube. Okay? All righty. If y'all need anything, please don't hesitate to holler at me.
Night. Thank you.
By the way, Stella is my assistant, and was off today. She's been gone to a wedding, but you'll get to know her really well because she makes a lot of things happen. Without her, I would fall face first in the mud. So sometimes I do anyway, but she certainly makes things much easier.
She pulls you out.
She does by my toenails.
I'm gonna go ahead and sign out.
All right. Thank y'all all very much. And I will see you on August the 3rd. Okay.
All
All
right.
right.
All right.
Bye.
See y'all.
Bye.
Have a good night.